A group of more than 100 former GOP officials who have absolutely no power are writing a strongly worded letter to the GOP. That's what they're doing, strongly worded letter. And they're also threatening to do something that could be fascinating. They're threatening to form a new party to fight back against the party of Trump. Now, of course, this is in response to the House Republicans ousting Representative Liz Cheney from her leadership role because she refused to regurgitate Donald Trump's talking points on the 2020 election. Let me give you more details on who these people are and what they're planning on doing. A letter headlined "A Call for American Renewal" is an exploratory move toward forming a breakaway party, two of its organizers said. The group is dismayed by what it says is a modern Republican Party driven by its allegiance to Trump, who continues to falsely claim that the 2020 election was stolen from him. So forming a third party is fascinating, and I think I want to see how it plays out. I think this could actually be very positive, because one of my worries was that the Democratic Party was going to take on more and more of these Never Trump Republicans. And these Never Trump Republicans are Bush era Republicans who are awful. I don't think that the Trump administration and the terrible nature of that administration should launder the reputation of these Never Trump Republicans. The very people who love corporate deregulation, the people who love forever wars in the Middle East, the people who typically love to engage in fear-mongering and scare-mongering rhetoric in regard to China. These are the people who have absolutely no interest in bettering working conditions for Americans. They're not our friends. And we don't need them in the Republican Party. So the idea of them forming a third party, interesting, might be good. Let me give you more details. The letter signatories, who include former ambassadors, governors, congressional members, and cabinet secretaries, want the Republican Party to return to principled leadership and reject division and conspiracy theories, or face a new party dedicated to fighting for Republicans such as Cheney and against fear-mongering and lies. Miles Taylor, if you can remember, was a former Trump administration official, and he said that the Republican Party is broken. He stepped down from Trump's administration. It's time for a resistance of the rationals against the radicals. So he's referring to the current Republican Party, the party of Trump, as the radicals. And I should also note that none of the people backing this latest effort are currently serving in any position of power. They're not currently elected in any office. These are former Republican officials and politicians. Backers of the reform group include Republican governors Tom Ridge, Christine Todd, Whitman, George W. Bush era Transportation Secretary Mary Peters, and former House members Charlie Dent, Barbara Comstock, Reed Ribble, and Mickey Edwards. Look, these people have no power right now, like none. And Republican voters have no interest in what they have to say. However, I do think that it's a better option for the Democratic Party to have these Never Trumpers form whatever third party they want, knowing, by the way, that third party has no shot. But even though it has no shot at winning, what's important to take away here is A, we're not gonna have to worry about them in the Democratic Party if they do in fact form this third party. And B, this is really a threat to the possibility of Trump winning the 2024 election should he choose to run and should he win the Republican primary, which I would venture to say he probably would win that primary. Because obviously all you need is just like a little slice of Republican voters to reject the Trump ticket and go for this traditional GOP branding that's being presented in this proposed third party. So will this maybe get some of these Republican lawmakers to question the direction they're going in? Maybe, but right now what they're doing is just listening to their constituents, and their constituents, unfortunately, overwhelmingly approved of the job that Donald Trump did. So backers of the reform group, I'm sorry, let me get to this NBC poll because it kind of gives you a sense of what I'm talking about here. Now, it's been several months since Trump has been in power. His numbers are declining a little bit. A recent NBC News poll found that 44% of Republicans said that they support Trump more than the GOP. So these are people who would follow Trump no matter where he goes. If he decides to form a third party, they would follow him. But Trump isn't gonna form a third party. Obviously, Trump is gonna remain in the Republican Party, and if he runs for 2024, he'll do it on the Republican ticket. But that's compared to 50% who said they support the GOP more than the former president. So things can change, and I think that it's important to keep that in mind. But as it stands today, I think that this threat coming from traditional Republicans, the never Trumpers, could be an interesting one for the current Republican Party because they can't stand to lose any votes. I mean, I imagine that it's gonna be a close election in 2024, and the possibility of a third Republican-like party basically taking some of those votes away might terrify them, might make them think a little differently about how they proceed. But we'll see how this all plays out. I think it's an interesting proposal, and the number one upside to it is it gives these never Trump Republican voters a home, a place to go. And luckily, it won't be the Democratic Party.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.